I had so much fun doing this last time, so I am back with more of it. Hello and welcome to my channel, The Danish Readaholic. My name is Silka and today I will be rating some covers. We're doing another UK versus US covers. So last time I actually did get a lot of great suggestions as to which books I should talk about next time, which is this time. So I am gonna go through them, some of them at least, and then I found some other ones myself, and I am already making a list for the next one because I think that this is so much fun to do and hopefully you guys like watching it. So I think without further ado we should just get started and let's talk about some covers. First up we have A Discovery of Witches by Deborah Harkness. This is not a book series that I have read, but I definitely do have a favorite here. Let's talk about the UK one, and please correct me if I am wrong, but upon doing my search these are US UK, so if I'm wrong please let me know. Let's talk about the UK one. I don't like it. It looks very unfinished to me. I mean, maybe it would make some kind of sense if I have actually read the series, but it feels very, as I said, unfinished. I could imagine that this would maybe be like an arc, so that it would be like a cover that wasn't completely done or just a temporary cover, because it looks to be just a picture of some red smoke and then the text. And I know that they did something kind of special with the C and the O, but that's about as special as the font gets. So to me, it is very plain, very bland. And then we have the US one, which I actually do like. It seems that there is some kind of, well, there is this pattern in the background with these kind of emblems, I kind of want to call it. And I don't know, it kind of intrigues me as to what they're supposed to mean, and there's something about the sun and the moon and what that is supposed to mean. I don't know. I think I've seen the TV show, parts of it, and I know that there's maybe a vampire. I don't freaking know. I don't remember. I do like that the font has kind of like this 3D effect, so it looks like it's coming off. It also helps draw the attention to the font and not actually the background, because the background is very detailed and there is a lot of things that you could look at. So the fact that the font and the title is so dominant is very good in my opinion. Also, I don't feel that the author name is misplaced at all. I feel like it fits very well. However, I do feel like that the little a novel thing, that looks rather misplaced. This one is definitely a win for the US because I do not like the UK one. Next up we have Circe by Madeline Miller. Once again, I have a favorite, and I think most people will have the same favorite, but I could be wrong. They're very similar in style and they're similar in colors as well, which I like. You can easily tell that this is the same book. Obviously it has the same title, or the same, yeah, it has the same title, but still. I don't like faces on covers. I say that a lot, but I also, this is difficult because this is the exception to the rule, because I do like faces, they just can't be realistic. This one is too unrealistic, well, not unrealistic, but it's just too cartoonish. It's too vector graphic. It looks like a vector to me. And a vector, in case you don't know, you normally would use it for icons, logos could also be a vector. So you can kind of upscale it and downscale it however you want without losing the quality most of the time. And it is usually very simple images that you can use for, say, an icon on the stories on Instagram. That is what I use vectors for mostly. And that is what this Circe, like the US cover, looks very vector-ish to me. It also kind of looks like an unfinished draft in my opinion. Whereas the UK one, there's two different variations. I think that one is paperback and the other is hardback. Let me just talk about the hardback one because that's the first one that popped up. It is also the one that I own, so I know that it is absolutely gorgeous and that the foiling on there is spot on. I like the copper color. That is just a great color and I freaking love it. I also like that they did something different with the title of the book and put it like downwards instead of just regular writing, if that makes any kind of sense. I've lost like the actual term for it, so bear with me. I like that with a story like this, where it's Greek mythology, it doesn't necessarily have to have the person on the cover. I really like the flowers and the art style that there is, and it kind of gives me a feeling as to what type of book it is. It doesn't give me anything about what the book is about, which I like from time to time, and especially with a book like this where it's Greek myths and stuff. I don't need my covers to give me an idea of what the book is about. I just need it to look as beautiful as I am expecting it to be. I feel like that with most mythology books. I just want the magical mythology, like the goddess vibes. I want that. And especially with this, it gave me just that. So this is a win for the UK one. The next one is Song of Achilles, and when I look it up, there's 2 different variations of the UK cover, but I believe that one of them is a special edition, so I'm going to talk about the one that I believe is the original UK cover. I definitely have a favorite, but that being said, I don't really like either of them, to be completely honest, and I can't tell you why. The first one, well, the US one, let me talk about that one first. When looking at it, and I don't know how to explain this without sounding like an absolute idiot, but this is the kind of book cover that gives me thrift store vibes, because there's always these types of books in, at least in Danish thrift stores or thrift shops, where the cover just looks so old. And I actually thought that Song of Achilles was way older than it actually is, simply based on this US cover that I've seen. It just looks very old stylistically, and also I don't like the helmet on it. I don't like the fact that the is done in cursive and the rest of the title is done differently. There is so much text at the top of it. I don't like it. I don't like it. Then we get to the UK one, which is very simple, if the one that I found is the correct one. We have basically just a bow and arrow. I don't know if I'm supposed to be seeing something. I feel like it looks like there is some type of pattern there that I am just not seeing, but once again, it feels kind of unfinished to me. If I had read the book, both of the covers might make sense to me, but they just don't. And I'm gonna have to give the win to the UK one, and that is simply because I dislike the US one more. It is not. And it sounds so harsh when saying it, but there's nothing, like, I'm getting nothing from either of the covers. So I'm sorry to people who love these covers. I really am. But it is just my opinion. We're staying in the Greek myths and we're doing Ariadne. Once again, I have a very clear winner here, but let me talk about the US one first. So in the US one, we have a character. Again, this looks very vector to me. And then we have the sun in the background. And once again, the color schemes of both the US and the UK one, they are very, very close. The UK one has more of a gold yellow style, whereas the US one has more orange. Overall, I like both of them. I wouldn't mind having the US one, but I definitely prefer the UK one. The US one, as I said with Circe, this is very vector graphic, but there's no like harsh lines as I felt like there were on Circe. This is more soft and fluent, and I kind of really like that. Also, I feel like the text fits very well. The placement is really nice, and also both the novel and also the author name suits the art on the front cover, so I'm not mad about it. The only reason that I'm actually picking Ariadne is because it is giving me more of that Greek goddess style or Greek goddess vibe, as I talked about with Circe, that I really want in my Greek retellings. Also, we actually get like an image of Ariadne, and we get like small clues throughout the cover. We also have a ship. I haven't read it, so I can't really tell if it is small clues, but there is more to this cover the more you look at it. Also, there must be something with these fruits that she's eating. There's also a serpent. There's a lot of things on this cover that makes me want to look at it more. Also, this is the edition that I have, so I know how beautiful it is in real life and all of the foiling done on it. But also, I feel like this fits very well with Circe, so I like having them together like that. As I said, the reason that I am picking the UK one and not the US one is because of the stylistic vibes that I get from it. It is more Greek goddess and that is what I want for my Greek retellings. Next up, we have Electra, and both Ariadne and Electra is by Jennifer Saint. I forgot to say that. Here we have a similar case, because both of these covers are absolutely beautiful in my opinion, and both of them fit very well with their respective editions of Ariadne and Circe, to be completely honest. So with Electra, for the UK one, we have this green goddess, and we have the pillars on the side that is very typical Greek, so you can actually see just by looking at it that it is Greek, also by the clothing that she is wearing, very typical Greek goddess. The book itself, like just by looking at the cover, gives me instantly Greek mythology, and I can tell that it is a retelling by looking at it. I don't own this, but I am expecting all of the yellow gold-ish to be foiling, but I could be completely wrong. I also feel like that the font, that the title is incorporated very well. It doesn't feel forced, in my opinion. I believe that the banner that her name is might be foiled, but with that heavy gold, it looks like a different gold from the rest of it because it's thin lines combined with the black and everything. But I do really like the UK one. Then we have the US one, which once again plays into this kind of like vector graphic that I talked about style. I like the way that they did the title with kind of like the ombre effect. Also, I think that it looks very great with all of the text at the bottom. It doesn't really feel forced. And with the design that is right under the three ladies, it kind of breaks up font, so it actually makes room for it, and I really like it. Also, the novel done in the temple is very, very great, and we also get the Greek columns. This is clearly also Greek. You can see with the headpieces and the temple and the columns. Also with the style of the barrier, you can get a feeling from that also that this is supposed to be Greek. I really like both of them. Had I had the US version of Circe, I would have also gotten the US version of Electra and Ariadne simply because I want them to match. But that being said, I just wanted to touch upon the fact that I like all of them, but I prefer the UK one. Next up, we have Fire with Fire by Destiny Soria. I have read this. I think I gave it 3 stars. I have the UK edition because I got it in my fair loot. But the first one I saw was the US one. So let me start with talking about the US one. So in the US one, when we're looking at it, like the first glance, we see a dragon skull, basically. At a closer look, we can see that the 2 sisters are actually the shape of the eyes of this skull. They don't look realistic, so I like it. I don't mind it. Also, there is a lot of fire on the front cover, which makes sense. Looking at this, I clearly see that this is about dragons, obviously. And I can also see by the way that the sisters are turned away from each other that there might be a conflict. I might also be reaching because I've actually read the book, so take it with a grain of salt. But that is what I'm getting from it after having actually read it. I don't like the font. I'm gonna have to say that. I'm not the biggest fan of the font. It doesn't feel like it fits to me. I would have done it differently, but I can't really explain how I would have done it differently. It feels like it's taken focus away from the image itself and that the artwork and the font is competing for the focal point. I don't like that. Aside from that, I do really like this cover. Now, when looking at the UK one, we have a different story, basically. We can see these 2 sisters once again turning away from each other. That obviously indicates that there is some type of conflict. We also see that one of the sisters is doing something with the fire, which kind of indicates that there might be magic. What we don't see is on the back there is a dragon, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the cover. I feel like the font in this is also very bland, very kind of boring. I don't hate it as much as I do the US cover because the artwork on the UK one is also very intricate and you kind of want to be drawn to it, whereas the font on this isn't as dominant. The font style isn't as different from a regular font, so that way it's not really competing in the same way, but it still takes away focus from the overall cover, in my opinion. Also, the sisters look way more alike in this one, which they don't in the book, so I don't like that, but you wouldn't know that going into it. So I like both, but I'm gonna have to say that I like the UK one better. It simply comes down to the font and actually the art style and the art itself, and I like that we get a lot, but we don't know that we get a lot from the UK cover. Next up, we have SKYWARD by Brandon Sanderson. This is also a book series that I have not read, but one that is definitely on my list. I have a very obvious first place, but let me talk about them first. So we have the US one, which is fairly simple, at least compared to the UK one. We get obviously the name of the author, we get the title, we get a badass main character, I'm guessing, in the front looking cool. I don't mind this because she doesn't look too realistic in my opinion. I can definitely see how she's kind of like supposed to look, but it doesn't look like a person I could just, that it's an actual photo if you know what I mean. Also, I'm getting that this has something to do with space based on the background and the purple and the stars, and I believe that there is a spaceship or something. The thing that I don't like, I am not the biggest fan of when the name of the author is the same size as the name of the book. I know that obviously the author name is important, but I would have liked if Brandon Sanderson was, well, for starters, that it was one line, and that it would have taken the spot of Claim the Stars instead. And then maybe you could have like a punchline, or Claim the Stars, as I'm guessing is like the punchline. You could have had that at the top, very dainty, I don't want to say, but kind of. I don't like the font of SKYWARD. That looks to me very game, like either board game or like a old PC game. That is kind of what I'm getting from it. It also gives, okay, listen. It gives me when you were in, I don't know what that is called, but not high school, younger than that, and you were doing stuff in Word and you were making the word art. That is what this gives me, and that is obviously not a good thing to put on a book cover. I have similar issues with the UK one. I still would have liked Brandon Sanderson's name to be one line, but I'm guessing that that is just not something he does. I like the font and also the fact that the Claim the Stars is right below the title. I like it. It also gives a lot of space to the actual artwork. I also like that the colors are fairly muted and everything is kept in these golden tones, and I'm pretty sure that they did the same with the sequels, and I really like that. It kind of keeps an ongoing theme. I also like the fact that there is a frame around it. I don't see it often, but when I do, I'm always like, yes, I like it. I also like the fact that there is this, as I said, black and white, and then just with this pop of yellow. The only thing that I'm bothered about is the size of Brandon Sanderson's name, but to be completely honest, I also feel like it fits because it is broken down into two sets of text, if that makes sense. So we have the top part, which can be big because it would fit the artwork. It doesn't take away from it. And then we have the bottom part that has been combined to two, whereas on the UK one, we have a 3-part with the text, and we have his name, the name of the book, and then the punchline, as I tend to call it. And I prefer it when we have two sets because then it doesn't get too chaotic and there's not too much to read just on the front cover, if that makes sense. I prefer the UK one, once again. So the next one here, I am very uncertain which one is the UK and which one is the US. I tried to look it up and I think I found the correct one, but if I'm wrong, then I'm sorry. So I think that this is the right way around. So let's talk about what I believe is the UK cover. It looks old. Well, not old, but it looks like it is supposed to be a myth retelling. It gives me similar vibes as Song of Achilles and Circe, Ariadne, all those. I don't get fantasy from it. I'm pretty sure that this is a fantasy. I don't know much about it. I found it and I was like, oh, that's a cool cover. And I know that there's two different ones and they're very different. I do not like the fact that there is, like, they have made room for the name, if that makes sense. They kind of just taken a black streak through the water, as I'm guessing that it is, and then put the word and then done it again with a novel. It fits very well with the title. I'm not too mad about it. I probably would have liked the title to have been higher up and then not having the water at the top, and then maybe pushing it a little bit up and then doing something with the font so that it could stand out on top of this water. I know that that is difficult, but maybe if you faded out the water instead, it wouldn't feel as harsh and as divided. But there's definitely attention drawn to the harp, I think it's called, and I mean, I like it. I don't understand the meaning of it. Then we have what I believe is the US one, which is everything I want. I like the fact that the font is done, or the title is done in a way that it kind of incorporates into the design, so it follows the river's rhythm basically, and the same with the author name. Also, the colors is really nice. The white really pops on these colors, and also the name of the author is done in the same color as, I'm guessing it's fish. And I really like the way that it incorporates and the way that the waves are going through the letters instead of just having them on top of it. It looks like the font is supposed to be there. It looks like the title is supposed to be there. I also like the detailing of the flowers around the river, as I'm guessing that it is. It looks like a river. It looks like it's supposed to be maybe a river in the woods somewhere, whereas the UK one looks like it's an ocean. So I prefer the US for this one. Next up we have The Darkening by Sonia Mara, I believe. Two very different covers, but with similar vibes, in my opinion. So first up, we have the US one, which was the first one that I saw, and I wasn't really intrigued by the story because of it, but what we get from it is we have a female face, obviously, at the top. We only have from the nose down, and we can see that it's kind of done in waves, I would almost say, because of the blue, obviously, but also because some of her face is not there. At the bottom, though, like just above the author name, we see like a tornado, and then in between the face and the tornado, we have a city, which would, in my opinion, indicate that there is a storm that has a significant relevance to the story. I haven't read it. I don't even remember what it's about. I believe that there is a storm involved that has a significance to the story. I am not too keen on the color combination of this kind of greenish yellow with the turquoise. Then we have the UK one, which is my favorite. I like the purple with the gold. It feels very royal to me. It also looks like she has wings, like the main character, and I don't know if that's true, but I like it. Once again, the font is actually incorporated into the design. You can see that her hand is going over some of the letters, and I like it. I'm not the biggest fan of the font by itself, but I kind of feel like it works here. We also get the similar idea of a storm in the background with the lightning, but it's not as dominant as the other one. And also from the shape of the wings, we also get the city at the bottom. So I feel like this is a very strong cover, and it has a lot of details that you wouldn't notice at first glance, and I really like it. I also like that we see the main character holding a weapon, and once again, we don't see her entire face. I really like it. So I'm going UK with this one. Next up, we have the Ivory Key. US one wins this one. I like the colors. I really like the faded neutral colors, and then with the strong blue and the strong pink. I also like the buildings that we're getting. It gives me a feeling as to where it is set, but I also like that it is done in this kind of mandala mandala pattern, which once again gives me an indication as to where we are in the world. I'm not sure I'm correct, but I'm guessing somewhere close to India, or at least a country inspired by it. Then we have the UK one, which is two faces. I'm not too keen on the art style. It looks very, I don't know. It's just not really my type of style. I also feel like that the detailing on the sides, like on the corners of the cover, doesn't fit too well. I don't like all of the text in between the sisters. Or I don't know if they're sisters, but in between the women, it is too much. I do, however, like the font on the UK one. I would have liked if the hair on one of the women would have been incorporated into the font, then it would have seemed like it actually was supposed to be there. Whereas now it feels, I don't want to say an afterthought, but it feels like it is put on top of an art piece instead of incorporated into it. With the US one, the font fits phenomenally, and also the author name. I would have done without the text at the top, but I've talked about that a million times. I don't need that. I would still go US with that one. It's really warm in here, so I'm gonna stop now. Thank you so much for watching. Please let me know if you have any covers that you would like me to bring in for next round. Also, if you just want to let me know that you're here but don't know what to comment, you can always leave a green heart. If you like this video, please hit the like icon, and if you want to see more of my bookish content, please consider hitting that subscribe button. It will mean the world to me. And until I see you next time, bye!